1 2 testing, 1 2 testing, 1 2. Welcome to the Man Utd stream. Hope you're doing well. We've got some breaking news and I thought I'd bring it live to you. It is to do with this takeover of United. Yes, we're looking at a possible takeover by an investment group out in the UAE. We've been reporting this for a couple of days now, but we've got some possible breaking news. Oh, it is breaking news, but it's what we make of it. Is it got any credibility? Has it not? I'll let you decide. My job is to bring the news to you, and then it's up to you guys to decide whether it's credible, whether it's not. I have to bring the news to you, because if I don't bring it to you, you'll probably say, well, look, why didn't you bring the news to us? Why didn't you break this news? Why didn't you tell us that there was something like this going on? And if we bring it too late, everyone's going to be like, well, what, you didn't know. Well, we do know. We have been told that there is a big meeting taking place today in London between the Glazers and a consortium of a group from the UAE. We're being told that at 1 p.m. today that there is or was a meeting between, probably going on right now, a meeting between the two parties on discussions to take over at United. This could be actually happening. This could be the moment we've been waiting for. We've been waiting for this, and this is a moment where we look, as Man United fans, we've been thinking that this might not actually happen. We've been thinking that this might not be the case, and even I've been saying, I don't think this is possible. Can it be taking place so quick? I mean, we only found out last week that there is a possibility, or there's talks going on, and they're in advanced stages by someone out in Saudi Arabia who's not even linked to Man United and not linked to the footballing world. So many of us thought, no way, this is not actually happening. We're not party to this. We're not going to get taken down this path and start believing that United are finally going to have a sale of the club, a full sale, and the Glazers will leave United. The Glazers will leave United. How many times have we dreamt about that moment where the Glazers will leave? But we're being told that this is the case. We're being told that United are on the verge, or at least the Glazers are making moves to sell United. Even whether the Glazers, whether Ineos agree to it, whether Sir Jim Ratcliffe are on board or not, we're not quite sure. We're not sure. We can't tell you Jim Ratcliffe is being left in the dark. Surely he's watching the news. Surely he's been keeping up to date with social media and what's going on. Maybe he's part to it. Maybe he's party to it. Maybe he knows that this is going on and he's happy for the Glazers to sell their shares. Whether this new investment firm out there made up of Saudi billionaires, or not Saudi billionaires, UAE billionaires, whether they want Jim Ratcliffe's share is not yet clear. But what is clear is that there are talks being held. We're being told there are talks. Now, the news has been broken by Indicator. They're an agency that have been reporting on transfer news, and some of the news has come to be true. Some of the news that they've said, they broke the news on a few huge deals. One was United looking at Carlos Glazer and trying to go in for him. Many people thought, what the hell is this about? But it did transpire that United were looking at Carlos Glazer. So some of the information that they did provide over the summer holidays, or over the summer transfer window, was true. It was actually the case. Now, today, they revealed about 10 o'clock this morning, they did actually tease us last night saying that big news is going to come out in the morning. And then, boom, in the morning, they gave us the news of this. This is what they said, which was, Indicator News, our sources at Man Utd, we don't know who they are reporting that United Arab Emirates-based consortium are meeting UFC officials in London at 1 p.m. The UAE officials are very serious about purchasing the club. The Glazers are open to all possibilities. So, number one question I have is, who are these officials from Man United? Who do they represent? Are they representing both Ineos and the Glazers? Are they representing just the Glazers? Is it a unified front here? Are the Glazers and Ineos looking to sell United? Have they had enough? Has Sir Jim Ratcliffe had enough? Has he thought, right, this is an endless pit. I can't invest more money than I already have, and I need bailing out. I need bailing out, and maybe someone like the billionaires from the UAE might come in and take over at United. Maybe they're all looking at this opportunity and thinking, we can make some serious money here. We can sell this club for billions of pounds, in excess of 5 billion, and walk away happy. Walk away happy. Maybe they've seen something that we don't know. Now, many have questioned why the Glazers would leave. Why would the Glazers leave when United is so lucrative? United is a club with lots and lots of revenue. We've heard it already. We heard that United were breaking records with revenues this year in excess of £600 million. Despite not doing well on the pitch, United are making a bag loads of money, shitloads of money. So the Glazers, why would they sell? Well, the Glazers are not actually taking any money out of United currently, and you know what they like? They like taking money out. They've been used to taking dividends out of United at all times. They've been loving it, but right now it's a stage where they've not been taking any money, and they're scratching their heads, probably thinking, wait up, we've got around £5 billion, or shall we say between £4 and £5 billion stuck in this club, but we can't touch it. We can't touch it. We can't access that money. They're probably thinking, wait, if we sell the club, we can take that money, go and reinvest it into something else where we can get dividends, where we can get some money. And whatever you think about the Glazers, whatever you know about the Glazers, there's one thing that everybody knows. The Glazers, all they care about is money, making money. That's the end line. They don't give a crap what happens on the pitch. They don't give a care. They don't care what actually happens with the companies that they own, as long as they're making money. They don't care about employees. They don't care about staff or what's going on. They don't care about morale. All they care about is making money. That's what it's all about. Rick has said, really, how can you tell it's international break? Yeah, I know, man. I know. The Glazers vampire are absolute leeches. I call them leeches. Parasite is the word. The parasite. They've just clung on to United. As soon as they got in here, they've just clung on to United and not let us go. They've not let us go, and it's been awful. It's absolutely been horrendous having these guys as our owners. We've hated every second of it. We've hated every second. Rob Bailey says, "Be positive." Yes, of course, Rob. That is what we're doing. We're kind of manifesting positivity, and we're thinking, right, okay, this can actually happen. We can sell. Well, the Glazers can sell up and leave. They can sell up and leave, and we could finally have an owner who can actually invest in United before himself, before themselves. We're hoping that the UAE, and look, I'm not bothered who it is. I don't care whether it's someone from the UAE, whether it's someone from another part of the world. I don't really care. I don't, and I know many fans don't care. What we do care about is having an owner who can actually invest in the club. We were discussing this yesterday in yesterday's live show, and we were discussing how United are in over £1 billion of debt. That's money that is owed in transfer fees, in debt, in interest and things like that, which someone has to come in and clear. The Glazers are not going to do it. The Glazers are more than happy to leverage this debt onto United and keep it there. They've done that since day one. The moment they walked in, they piled on a huge amount of debt onto the club, and that's it. That was their gift to Man United and its fans. That was the Glazers' gift. They came in and said, there you go. We've arrived. We've placed a huge, massive debt on the club, and that's what it is. Rick says, the old man might have had good intentions, but the kids inheriting assets never goes well. Well, you say that, and I read into this. I looked into the Glazers a bit more, and do you know what they did? The old man, the Glazer father, I can't remember his actual full name now, but anyway, Mr. Glazer, or Glazer Senior, what their business model was at the time of taking over United, what they would do is go and buy distressed companies. They'd go and buy these distressed companies, then they'd slowly break them off, into piece by piece and sell it off into sections. They'd sell them off, making a profit. And that's what they do. They'd go into different companies. They'd look for these companies that were distressed. They needed to sell. They were not financially doing well. And they'd go in, strip the company apart and sell everything and make a profit and walk off. They wouldn't care about rebuilding anything. That's not been in their whole plans. They never have they thought, right, let's rebuild something. They've always come in and thought, Malcolm, Glazer, thank you, Rick. They've all come in and they've always said, right, let's just strip everything apart. The only thing, what they did with United was they literally saw an opportunity. They thought, wait up, we can get a loan, buy out United. Then what we can do is we can put that debt of the loan and the repayments onto the club again. How does that work? How does that work? So technically it's cost them nothing. All they've essentially done is the paperwork. They've gone out there, done the paperwork. That's the only thing they've done. And it's cost them nothing. The club, United, ended up with paying the debt. They're clearly still paying the debt. I think there was something on Sky Sports and they said something like the Glazers have cost United over £1 billion since they took over. Now, they've cost us that. They've not put any money in. There's a massive misconception where we've thought, like, oh, the Glazers have actually spent money on United. And you get to actually hear this a lot from rival fans, which is surprising, which is very surprising. Rival fans telling us how good the Glazers are. That should send alarm bells ringing if anything doesn't. Rival fans, you always hear it from different fans from Liverpool or Arsenal or whatever. Oh, you've got some. Oh, you're always complaining, United fans, but the Glazers are really good. They've spent lots of money. No, they haven't. They've made United spend its own money on going out and buying players. But this is great news. Anyway, coming back to the breaking news that we are obviously breaking today, which is that there is a meeting taking place between the UAE investors and United. That's what we're being told. And it's coming from a source called Indicator. Now, Indicator, I said originally, Indicator is a source that you have to take maybe with a little bit of you can't just simply think, right, okay, this is a done deal. Indicator has a hit and miss approach. Some of the things that they've broken have turned out to be true. Some, however, I have to say, they've not always on point. They have never been the best at bringing absolute accurate news, but they've not said anything really that we're not sure about here. They've said sources at Man United are reporting that United Arab Emirates based consortium are meeting UFC officials in London at 1 p.m. They're very serious about purchasing United. That's very important to me. It's important because so far we've heard from third-party sources, not from a source like Indicator, that there is a potential of some investment firm coming in and buying from the Glazers. The question now is whether they're just going to buy the Glazers share or whether they're going to buy the entirety of United, with Jim Ratcliffe having to be dragged along and he has to sell his shares to the new investors. Rick says the best thing to ever happen to the the Glazers ownership of United. The worst thing for United, the Glazers. Yeah, the Prem, yeah, absolutely. The best thing. I mean, you can hear it. I mean, if you sit down with any other fans and you start talking about football, they absolutely love the Glazers. They love them. They are over the moon that the Glazers came in and took over at United, because they know that the moment the Glazers walk out and we get some serious owners, we get owners who actually care about the club, it's over. Because United are going to fight back again and rise up like the giant of a club that they are. We've been saying this for many years. We've been saying it. I've been saying it for many years. Look, United are a sleeping giant. United are a sleeping giant. Once they get decent owners who will invest in the club, and there is serious investment needed in Man United because we have fallen far behind the other clubs. Yes, our revenue is great, and yes, we're making money. Still, despite what we're doing on the pitch, And despite our infrastructure, despite our stadium, but right now we've come to a crossroads right now, and something has to give. Either the Glazers have to put their money where their mouth is, including Sir Jim Ratcliffe, as a united force. They need to put their money where their mouth is and spend over at least 1 to 2 billion in making and designing and developing the new stadium. Number 2, they need to clear the debt, which is another £1 billion plus. So altogether, £3 billion has to be invested immediately into United to get us on a level playing field with all the other Premier League clubs who have been developing themselves, investing in their infrastructure, making all their new stadiums, and of course having players for the future, and having almost zero debt or less debt than United. United are far ahead on one fact, and one fact only, and that is the amount of debt that they have on the club. It far outnumbers what any other club owes in debt. So that's the biggest problem. Rick says Sir Alex was the only thing that made the early Glazers. He is, yeah. Look, I agree with you. But I was saying this in yesterday's show, Rick. I was saying, even Sir Alex had to give up. Even he thought, right, okay, I need to get out of here. The writing is on the wall. These guys are going to screw the club over. And I've no doubt that David Gill and Sir Alex probably sat down behind closed doors and discussed it and said, these guys are going to screw us over. Their business plan is not to invest any money into us. They've obviously put this debt on the club, and PSR was coming round the corner. These new developments and things, and is inevitable. And if you look back at when Sir Alex Ferguson left and David Gill, it was a moment when we needed a rebuild. It was a moment where we needed to go back at it again. It was a moment when we needed at least 4 or 5 or 6 or even more top players to come into United. We had a group of players who were nearing the end of their career, and then we had some players who were okay, but no one special. We didn't have the likes of a young Rooney or a young Cristiano Ronaldo or young Ferdinand and players like that. We didn't have anybody like that. So it came to a stage where I'm sure that Sir Alex Ferguson probably sat down with the Glazers and said, right, you need to invest around about, I'd say at that time, maybe about 500 mil. Okay, maybe call it a bit less, but say we need about another 500 mil to go out there and rebuild this team with world-class players. We need to go out there and get some proper players in to go again, to start carry on competing at the top level, because that's what was needed. It needed a rebuild. When the Glazers came in. And I'm sure the Glazers probably turned around and said, well, we're not prepared to do that. We're not prepared to put our own money into the club. We've bought this club, that's fine, but we're not going to put our own money in. In fact, we're looking to take money out of the club. We want the money. We want to run this club dry. We want to take all the money. And I'm sure David Gill and Sir Alex Ferguson probably thought, right, we're out before the shit hits the fan. We've got to leave. We've got to get out. The house is they've started a fire, and we need out. And yeah, that's why he chose David Moyes. Yeah, I mean, he probably thought, right, okay, who can I pick who can come in and not kick up a fuss with the Glazers and just accept that this team is the way it is, and there's no new players going to be coming in. They're not going to be making huge investment, and David Moyes was the perfect choice at that point, because you're looking at David Moyes and he was doing pretty well with Everton, a mediocre side, not with any big players. And I think Sir Alex Ferguson thought, right, okay, let him come in and let him see what he can do with these players. I think that's got to be the reasoning behind it. There has to be some reasoning behind it. Look, I think overall, this news about United on the verge of being sold to a new company, investment company from UAE, is great news. We know that these investors who are coming on board, like they have with Man City, with Chelsea, and all the likes, and even Newcastle, they spend their money. They put their money where their mouth is. We need owners who can come in and, number one, clear the debt, clear this huge debt which is just hanging over United like a cloud. and we can't do anything. We can't actually go out and buy any players. We can't go out and do anything without knowing that we've got this huge debt that we're fighting against. Not only are we fighting against the debt, we're fighting against owners who really don't want anything to do with the club. They don't actually want to be here. They don't want to be part of the rebuild. They don't really care for it. They've never really cared for it. They don't really care about the fans either. And then we've got Jim Ratcliffe. Now, look, I'm torn between Jim Ratcliffe. I think some things that he's done with Ineos, bringing in the likes of Omar Brada, Jason Wilcox and things like that is positive. It's positive because they're bringing in footballing people to run the football. So that's positive. And we've seen the difference in the summer transfer window. What we've seen is a bit more calculation. They've gone after players that they know will suit the United right now with Mbeumo and Kuna. So they've been great signings. They brought in a young striker in Sesko. Again, really good signing. We've got Sandy Lemons. They've not rushed. They've not panicked. They've not gone and said, oh my God, we need to go and sign somebody. Let's go and sign whoever we can get our hands on. No, they've been very calm and measured. And I like that. And that's because we've got people who know about football running the club. We've finally got people who know how to approach things, how to approach these deals, how to negotiate, which players we need to be going after. And that is great news. That's what I like to see. And you've got to give credit where it's due. Jim Ratcliffe and Ineos have done that. It wasn't the Glazers who suddenly decided, right, okay, we're going to change our whole transfer philosophy. No, we've seen the shit show that the Glazers have ran for many years, and it used to be an absolute chaos. Every transfer window was chaos. You never knew who you were going to sign, and then suddenly you'd end up being linked with this random player, and then we'd just get a random player in, and we'd all have to say, right, okay, we have to get behind whoever it was, whether it was, Falcao or Di Maria or whoever it was. We were like, right, okay, hands up, okay, we're happy with this, we have to go ahead with it, we're Man United, he's a Man United player, we have to back him. And we went along that way. Sanchez, another signing. I mean, the list could go on and on and on. We could be here all day discussing where we went wrong in recruitment. But where we went massively wrong is we were paying huge amounts of money and we were offering them crazy amount of salaries for absolutely years. We've been stuck with these players. But anyway, coming back to this news about the UAE group meeting with the Glazers. We're not quite sure what this meeting will be about. Hopefully it's a straight up offer. It's an offer or showing the intent of buying United. And many people are saying, what about Jim Ratcliffe? What about Jim Ratcliffe? But Jim Ratcliffe, it doesn't concern me right now. Jim Ratcliffe isn't my concern. Whether he stays or doesn't, again, doesn't really concern me. I think he's more positive than negative. Having him there is, for me right now, not a negative. It's not a negative, so I don't really care. If he stays on as a part owner of United, as the way he is right now, 25% or whatever it is, I'm happy with that, and I'm sure most fans are as well. I don't think most fans are against Sir Jim Ratcliffe like they are against the Glazers. We know what the Glazers are about. So I believe that Jim Ratcliffe, even if he holds on to his shares, I think even if a new owner does come in, so even if this new investment firm coming in from the UAE are coming in thinking, Jim Ratcliffe, he owns part of the club, shall we leave him to it? Yeah, I guess they will. I think they'll say, all right, leave Jim Ratcliffe there. If that requires to be done. If Jim Ratcliffe says, I'm not leaving, I'm staying where I am, I'm not going to sell my shares, then I can see Jim Ratcliffe just staying on at the club, and I can see the investment arm thinking, right, okay, we'll leave him there. He's got some football knowledge. He's done the right moves. He's someone else who can contribute as well. He has put some of his own money into it. I mean, he came in and immediately, again, I'm looking at the positive side of things. I don't want to kind of turn this into a complete and utter awful takeover where there's fighting going on between Jim Ratcliffe and the new owners or the investors who are trying to take over his shares as well. We do know that there is a drag along clause. Now, what does this drag along actually mean? It literally means dragging along. In this contract that Sir Jim Ratcliffe signed with the Glazers, when he first took over his shares of from the Glazers, when he bought some of the shares and went into 25% ownership and is now running the footballing side of things. In part of that contract, it was that if the Glazers reached a point where they found a new investor and he was willing to buy the entirety of Man United for a certain share price, which is equivalent to what Sir Jim Ratcliffe paid, then they can force Jim Ratcliffe to sell his shares. His 25% can be forced, and he could be dragged along into this sale or any sale, future sale of Man United. And that was an indication of where the Glazers were. The Glazers have always wanted to cash out, but they've been waiting for that big payday. They want someone to arrive and give them what they want, which is in excess of £5 billion. We had it with Sheikh Yassim, where he wasn't willing to pay that much money. And the reasoning he gave, or his group gave, was that there was too much investment needed into United. They did the figures, they looked at it and realised that, look, if we pay, say, 5 billion to the Glazers, then we have to pay another 1.2 billion to clear the debt. Then we need to invest another 2 billion for a new stadium. So let's start counting these up. We're looking at 5, 6, 7, 8 billion already deep into this project. Then they said we need another 500 million to another billion in player investment. That's £9 billion of investment to get United back on a level playing field with the rest of the clubs around Europe, all the big clubs around Europe. That is why the Qataris or Sheikh Yassim pulled out of the purchase, because they were like, no, we can't give you all our money. We can't give you the additional £2 billion that you're asking for, because we want to spend that money on the club. And typical Glazers, they said, we want that money. We don't give a shit about what you're doing with Man United. We don't care. We don't care whether you put in money and improve United and improve their ground and their Old Trafford or whatever it is. No, they don't give a shit. What they wanted was, they wanted their money and they wanted out. They wanted out. And that's why they were not happy with the offer or negotiations with Sheikh Yassim's team. And in the end, Sheikh Yassim didn't actually put in a formal offer. He never made a formal offer. And then there was much talk about him not even existing. But he did exist. There was confirmation of this from David Beckham himself. Said, look, Qatar had approached him, the people in Qatar, and he had advised about how to proceed with taking over at United, or how to make the bid. But clearly the negotiations failed very early on between the intermediaries who had already inquired what the Glazers were looking for. They were not going to make an offer if the Glazers were going to reject it. So that's what happened there. But in came Ineos. Ineos came in, and again, they didn't agree with the valuation what the Glazers were setting. However, they were desperate. Jim Ratcliffe was desperate to get his leg in there and actually own a club. And we discussed again this yesterday in yesterday's show, how months before, Jim Ratcliffe had failed to buy Chelsea Football Club, and he was still reeling over that. He was still not happy that he missed out. And the reason why he missed out is because he submitted his offer after the deadline. So he couldn't actually, it wasn't that he wasn't interested in taking Chelsea, or he was deliberating, or whether he was thinking about, he just simply came to the table too late and he missed out. And this time round, when United were up for sale, or potentially up for sale, he wanted a piece. He wanted a piece for himself, and this suited him absolutely, because he was like, look, I get to own United, I get to run the football inside of things, and that's all I want. And he ended up, actually, I'd say, signing a contract which isn't in his favour. He signed a contract away where he's doing all the hard work. We've got to remember, Ratcliffe is doing all the hard work, trying to sort things out on the pitch, trying to improve the facilities around United, obviously going and trying to get plans approved for a new stadium and things like that. And he's taking all the shit from the fans. But to what benefit? Who's he benefiting? He's actually benefiting the Glazers. Ultimately, he's benefiting the Glazers, who are happy either way. They benefit if the price goes up of United, and they benefit if nothing happens, because they can still sell the club. They can still sell the club. There's always an opportunity for them to sell the club, and that's where we're at right now. Red Devil, thanks for joining us. Hopefully we'll get more news coming out soon. Fingers crossed. I mean, we discussed this yesterday actually on your show, and I did think then, I thought, right, okay, what could this breaking news be in the morning? And Indy Kayla, I had this feeling that it could be United. It could be something to do with this takeover. But I'm pleasantly surprised. I'm really happy, actually. I'm really happy that we have got something to actually hold on to now. Because before then, we were just essentially shooting in the dark. We didn't actually know what was going on. We were like hoping that there's something concrete going to come of this. And this is the first official or half official, shall we say, source that's come out and said there is something actually going on. Rick says, Sir Jim bailed the club out. Simple as that. Yeah, he did. He bailed the club out. He himself alluded to the fact that United had no money. They were going to very quickly run out of money. I think he said they had about a month or two before they went into zero accounts. I mean, can you even comprehend a club like United going into essentially no funds? And he came out last minute and had to bail them out. And then till all are one, something is going on, but it's cloak and daggers again. Yeah, it could be. The question I have is, do you guys feel sorry for Jim Ratcliffe? Do you feel sorry for Jim Ratcliffe? Guys, in the comments, hit the comments. I want to know, because it's interesting. I don't want to give you my opinion on what I think, because I want to first hear from you guys. I don't want to say something that, I say, and then you guys are like, no, I don't agree with that. But I would happily share my opinion. Do you feel sorry if Jim Ratcliffe is being dragged along and is being forced to sell, having done all this work? I mean, look, we've got to say he has done some work for the club. He's actually sorted a lot of things out since he's been here. Yes, there might be some people at the club who might be thinking, good, well, serves him right because he sacked half the workforce. Red Devil United says, yes, something is happening. Yeah, definitely. Till all are one says, I'm not giving my strength to this again. I don't trust anybody within the club. Yeah, I mean, that is the consensus between all Man United fans right now, including us. Even I'm giving you this news. I'm praying that it's true. But I also, at the back of my mind, think, I've been through this. I've been through this already. We got burnt. And every time we think that there's light at the end of the tunnel, you just see the Glazers shut it off again. I mean, this is the same time when the Glazers made the official statement on the Man United website saying we are now looking for strategic opportunities or something it was. They used some really ambiguous words saying that they're looking for investment. And I was still sceptical at that point, thinking, these arseholes aren't going to leave. They're not going to sell up. No way. They're just playing us. They're playing all United fans. At that time, if you remember back, they had it. The heat was on them. The United fans were, kicking off. We were protesting, and it was all about the Glazers leaving. And they knew they had to do something. They had to put something out there, or else things were looking really bad. And then Rick says Jim tried his best. He did. You can't say he never did. And then till all are one, never feel sorry for somebody who looks down on fans. Look, I'm gonna give you my viewpoint. I was hoping for a few more people to jump in there, and Sansu says I don't feel sorry for him because how can he sign such an agreement that can sell the club without his conscience? Yeah, and then till all I want. This is the Wolf of Wall Street double cross on both sides. Oh, I love that. Wolf of Wall Street. Yeah, it is. Look, my opinion is I can't feel sorry for Jim Ratcliffe, because he's come in with open eyes. He's come in, and I said it in the Red Devil United show last night. So if you've not ever seen his channel, go ahead, go and check his channel out as well. I did a live show there yesterday, and it was a great time we had discussing this takeover. and we were just guessing as to what could happen. And this is some positive news this morning. And in that show, we said, look, I said, look, if you start dancing with the devil, you can't stop until the devil decides to stop. And in the case of the Glazers, he's jumped in bed with him. He's jumped in bed with these guys, knowing full well of their reputation, knowing full well what they've done, how they took over United, a hostile takeover, how they've dealt with United, what they've been doing. If you're a Man United fan, I don't think there's any Man United fan out there who's under any illusion that these guys have been not good for United. They've not been good owners. I can't think of anybody I've met who's come to me and said, I like the Glazers. I think they should stay on as owners. I don't think there's any. There's not many. Sansu says, the signing of the agreement. Yeah, he signed the agreement. He knew exactly what he was doing. I think he was desperate. I think he wanted a piece of United. I think he wanted just to have that name. Yes, I own a piece of this club. And I think he didn't care what you were signing. I think he thought, right, okay, I don't care. I'm going to jump in bed with them. I'm going to sign whatever. I'm going to do whatever it takes to get into this club, and hopefully then I will change things around. And I suspect that Jim Ratcliffe never envisaged the Glazers wanting to sell. That's what I believe. I believe Jim Ratcliffe thought that he's going to come in, buy his share of United, and the Glazers will remain as owners with the rest of their shares and not reach a time where they would want to sell up. So I think they've double-crossed him for definite. Maybe privately Jim despises them. Yeah, I think so too. Till all are one. You're making some actual solid points here, which I agree with. I've said this already. I think behind closed doors, Jim Ratcliffe knows. No way would he not know what the Glazers are like. But he's been very amicable. Of course, he's got to keep them happy. I think even when he came in to buy United, there was two approaches. The Qataris came out quite negative against the Glazers. There was talk about how they'd come in and improve United and how they'd come in and be different to the current owners. And I don't think that really went down well with the Glazers, because they were thinking, wait up, they're taking a direct hit at us. Whereas Jim Ratcliffe came in with a completely different approach. This was more like a bit of a, whining and dining kind of approach. Like, oh, look, the Glazers, you're lovely people, really nice, out in public again, every press conference he gave. The Glazers are a lovely family, they're really nice people. You sit down with them, you talk to them, they're very nice, and they care for the club. But that didn't actually wasn't realistic, because what we were seeing in real time and what factually was there, what we were looking at was the Glazers didn't give a shit. They were never here. They were never here, and they've never invested in the club. And then we're hearing from Jim Ratcliffe that they actually care about the club. No, they don't. They never have. They never have. And we fans, I think that's where Jim Ratcliffe actually loses some support from fans, because some fans get pretty pissed off. They look at him and think, well, you had us up until that point. You had us up until you started, giving these Glazers a lift. And until you started talking about them being nice people. We all know they're not. We all know they don't really care about the club. And Rick says Jim is an old man and that his vanity projects, this is just another project. Yeah, I think so. I think I said this again in yesterday's show, which was, if we look back at Jim Ratcliffe and see what he's been doing in recent years, he's been investing in quite a few different sporting ventures. We all forget that he is still the owner of Nice. Ineos still own Club Nice out in France. And what's happened to that? Why haven't they made a success of that? They've been running that for much longer than United. They own 100% of that. They own entirely 100% of that. Why have they not made a success of that? Because I don't think they would. I don't think they will. I don't think they're good enough to make a success of it. There's been huge criticism out in France of Jim Ratcliffe and Ineos ownership of Nice. Lots of fans are unhappy. They're saying that they get rid of the managers very quickly, and they've been turning around the managers. They've not really made any serious investment in the club either. That doesn't bode well for United, does it? That doesn't actually bode well. We have here, Till R1 says, Jim's legacy will be nothing but trash unless he forces them out. Yeah, I agree. If he gets them out, I will 100% be backing Jim Ratcliffe. If he turns out tomorrow and says, do you know what? I've decided to match any offer made by the UAE investment firm, and I'm going to buy out the Glazers, and I'm going to take over 100% of this club. And that's it. I would 100% be behind Jim Ratcliffe. I don't really care, again, who owns the club, as long as 2-3 criteria are met. Number one, that they have the interests of the club at the most important thing. The most number one thing that I want is them to have the interests of the club first. Then number two, I want them to have enough money to clear the bloody debt. There's no point having an owner come in and just simply just sit there, not spend any money, not clear our debt, not bring in any new players, not improve any facilities, stick to Old Trafford as it is, and not improve it, and then we're going to be stuck in the same place. We cannot go out of the pot into the kettle. That's my problem. I think with Jim Ratcliffe, what we have is someone who's very similar to the Glazers, is very business-minded, wants to make money, and I'm not quite sure whether he actually will make a success of United on his own. We need someone who's willing to put money into the club. And we desperately need that. We are, drowning in debt. And we all got to thank the Glazers for it. Yeah. I mean, look, by the way, guys, all of you who've joined so far, thank you for joining us. We are discussing the potential takeover of United. So welcome to the Man Utd stream. Make sure you hit the like button on the video, guys. And of course, subscribe if you're new to the channel. We are all about Man United and more. So make sure you hit the like button and subscribe. Now, till all I want is the new stadium will not go ahead by 2030, more like 2035. Yeah, I agree. I think it's more easier said than done. I think we're talking about it like, oh, it's going to go up next season and we're going to have another new stadium. No, it won't, because there's lots of problems within the Manchester area, Old Trafford area. There's issues with land right now. There's people in around companies in and around Old Trafford that are not willing to sell up. So there's discussions ongoing about buying out this land that they need to extend Old Trafford. That's not going to be easy. Then they've got issues with funding it. Who's going to actually fund the actual rebuild? Jim Ratcliffe, £2 billion. You're looking at about £2 billion, which is a conservative estimate. But that's what it probably end up, even more than that. Will Jim Ratcliffe be funding it himself? Because the government certainly isn't going to fund it. I think there was some hope that we might get some funding from the government. Or someone like the local mayor of Manchester allowing some kind of funding because they would reap some benefit. But I'm being told that that's not the case. We're being told that they're not actually going to invest in Man United because they're going to leave it as United, and the Glazers or Jim Ratcliffe have to put the money down and rebuild the stadium. And if that is the case, who's going to do it? We know this is not possible with the current ownership. We know the Glazers have put in zero. They've not put any money in. Since they've owned the club, I can't remember a time where we've heard that the Glazers have put in a cash injection of this much money or that much money. Never. All they've done is take dividends from United. That's all they've done. Sansu says, Jim have enough money to buy the club. Why can't he do that at once? Yeah, I've questioned that as well. Jim Ratcliffe is a wealthy person. He is worth well in excess of 5 billion. He could actually come and buy out United outright. But for some reason, he's not doing it. Now, I'm not quite sure why. He had the opportunity to buy him out earlier on when there was talks going on. He didn't. Then he's let this deadline pass where then he can be dragged along into any other sale. It could also be the Glazers actually wanting Jim Ratcliffe to come to the table. It could be the Glazers wanting two bidders coming into a bidding war. That will benefit the Glazers and Glazers alone. These guys are cunning. They're cunning businessmen who know exactly how to extort money out of people. So it's going to be, right, we've got one bidder here. we're going to now play Jim Ratcliffe, and we're going to ask him to come to the table and say, right, you want this club? Do you, it's going to be embarrassing. If Jim Ratcliffe allows somebody else to come in and buy the Glazers out, people will mock him. People will mock Jim Ratcliffe and say, this guy's just come in. He's bought United. He's bought a percentage of United and never really had the minerals to buy the rest of it. And it's always been an issue. So till all our one says a Scouse firm has the rights to the rail yard. They just bought it before United did. It's well known in Manchester. Yeah, I've heard that as well. Someone was telling me the same thing, saying, look, there's a couple of companies who are not willing to. Can you imagine? Can you believe it's a Scouse firm? I mean, maybe it was a setup, right? Okay, but they've been telling me as well. There's a couple of people I spoke to who've said that, look, there's businesses, well-established businesses in and around that area that are not willing to get up and leave. They're not willing to sell. So either the council force them to sell up and leave, or they are given an offer that's too good to refuse. Either way, it doesn't really suit Man United. Man United are already skimping. I mean, they're cutting costs when it comes to lunch, giving staff lunch and players lunch. They are not going to be looking to pay extra million or so to get extra land. That's not in the design of their plans. They don't really want to be spending more money. They already forecast to spend at least 1 to 2 billion on a new stadium. I'm sure they're going to even try and cut cost on that. And I don't want that to happen. If we're going to make a one-in-a-generation stadium, a stadium that we want to be iconic and to be there for the next 50 years or 100 years, you want to spend everything you have on the stadium, making sure it has the best facilities and it's just amazing and it's the bee's knees and it competes, and if not competes, is better than the rest of the stadiums around the Premier League and around Europe. And look, we've seen Real Madrid, Barcelona, they spent in excess of £2-3 billion building their new stadiums. So what makes us think that we're going to get a stadium any cheaper? We won't, unless we get some dodgy builders to do it. The only time, so Tillar one says, the only time I will thank a Scouser for saving Old Trafford. Yeah, exactly. The Scousers might be doing us a favour with this one. Might be doing us a favour. Look, let us know in the comments below what you think about a possible takeover of UAE Investment Group. Do you even feel comfortable with someone that you don't actually yet know who's going to make this offer? And what does it fill you with confidence? It does with me. I'm going to be honest with you. Anybody that can come in and invest money into the club, I would take, because we have been starved, not just off the field, but on the field. We've made some signings that haven't really worked, and we've made these signings because we can't afford to go out there and sign the very best. And I mean, yes, I made this point yesterday actually, and then I got pulled up saying, "Oh, Mbumo's the very best and Kuna's the very best." They're very good, but would you say that they are the most sought after players? Arguably not. I mean, and when I'm talking about making the best signings possible, if you just go back a little bit, you're looking at when we were signing Wayne Rooney. I was watching the Wayne Rooney documentary the other day, and it goes through how we signed him. And he's like, he's playing for Everton, comes on the scene. Obviously, everyone's raving on about him. Then he breaks into the England international team, and he's playing for England, and he plays, I think it was the Euros or the World Cup. I can't remember which one it was. I think it was the World Cup. And he has an absolute stormer there until he gets injured. And then United go straight in, make a record bid, and get the guy. The most sought-after striker, not in just England, but the whole of Europe. And United do not waste any time. Under Sir Alex Ferguson, went straight in, and boom, they got the deal done. And then he signs for United, and he's like, yeah, I had to move. I came to United. When can you last think United have done a move like that, a transfer like that, where everybody in Europe is after that single player, and United have got him? That's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about these huge signings that United made. I'm talking about the likes of Eric Cantona. I'm talking about Ferdinand. I'm talking about these players that we signed when everyone was after him. That's what we need now. We need serious investment where we can then go out there and say, yeah, money's no problem. Look what Liverpool have done this summer transfer window. They've done that because of their ownership and what they've been doing financially, what they've been getting in terms of revenue from winning and doing well on the pitch. It is linked. If you think that what you're doing on the pitch isn't linked to what you're making off the pitch, it's absolutely linked. What we're doing as a club on the pitch reflects and then dictates what we're making. So the revenue is absolutely linked with what we're doing on the pitch. We need to make sure that number one priority is that we're doing well on the pitch. And if we're doing well on the pitch, all the fans are positive, everyone's happy, everyone's in a good mood, you're willing to go out there, spend more money, buy more tops, buy more shirts, get others involved as well. You're then asking others to support your club. You're going around, you're telling kids, well, look, you should be supporting Man United. Now when you approach kids and say, oh, you should be supporting Man United, they just look at you and they think, this guy's off his rocker. Why would I support Man United? They finished 15th last season. That's the problem. If you ever go and speak to some youngsters and say, look, who do you support? And they're like, oh, I support, Arsenal or Man City, whoever it is. But why not support United? And they're like, well, no, we don't really want to be supporting United. That's their comeback. And we don't want that. We want the next generation of young fans to come on and say, yeah, we want to back this club and we want to support. And if they lose that generation, one or two more generations, that's where the problem really starts kicking in. Rick says, under the Glazers, we recruited older players on huge wages. With the new system, we are bringing in younger players like we used to. Absolutely. And that's what I loved about this. I think one of the best signings, and we're going to probably look back at this, it was a big deal at the time, but I don't think it was a massive deal. I don't think the press really got hold of it. But for me, one of the best signings we've made under Ineos is Lenny Yoro. Lenny Yoro is going to be a future superstar centre-back. And without a shadow of a doubt, if he was at Real Madrid right now, he would be in that starting 11. That's how good he is. That's what we've got on our hands, and we've got to nurture that. We've got to accept that this is one in a lifetime opportunity where we need to take use of what we've signed. And I do like what Ineos have brought to the table in terms of changing this whole recruitment structure around and making us look back at what we used to do, how we used to go and sign talent before it was even discovered. Go and sign the top players. It was a mixture. We got in the very best player. We put in academy players, and then we put in players who were up and coming but weren't exactly there. And then boom, once they hit United, it's all history. They become top players. Rick says, win and everything else follows smoothly. Yep, it does. It's a simple equation. We all know what it is. But what's astonishing is that the owners don't work this out. The Glazers have sat there and not ever thought, right, okay, do you know what? Maybe all the fans are right. Maybe we do need to improve on the pitch. Maybe we do need to go and make sure that we go and make the best signings possible and get the very best and improve the facilities, improve the training facilities, and make sure that these players are going to be in their peak performances when they're playing out on the pitch. And once we start winning things, the rest is history. No one's going to care. Look, we all know as United, if we were winning under the Glazers, I don't think many people would have cared. I don't think many people would have cared about who the owner is. We don't go around looking. When we're watching them play, we're not thinking who are the owners, and so, we don't really care. But if the owners are having a detrimental effect on their pitch, and we've seen that with the Glazers, they have had. I mean, it's not just by mere coincidence that suddenly the Glazers take over and we fall off a cliff. We've literally nosedive from being the very best team in Europe, if not the world. We were competing against the Barcelonas, the amazing Barcelona teams, and we were taking it for granted walking into Champions League finals every year. We were like, yeah, standard, isn't it? Standard. We're going to another Champions League final. Yeah, standard. Winning the Premier League. Yeah, normal. That's, we're competing, winning trebles. Of course we do. That's what our MO is. That's what we like. That's what we do. But now we know how difficult it is to go back to those days, because these guys have absolutely shafted us. Sansu says, have you got the outcome of the meeting between Ineos and the new investor? No, I mean, look, currently I'm just, let's refresh it. Let's see what's going on. I mean, the news is, I doubt we're going to get anything right now. I don't think we're going to get something today. I think what we will probably get is something in the next couple of days, if something actually gets agreed with this. If number one, if that meeting's taking place. So I'm taking that with with a bit of pinch of salt. I mean, I'm not 100% that this meeting's taking place. I'm hoping it is. And I'm hoping something is being agreed. And then I'm hoping that in the next couple of days we get some news on some development, something moving in the right direction, and hopefully we can then start celebrating. We can finally start celebrating. We can finally start looking at something else. Start looking at a brighter future. Because we've all known, no matter what, whether Ineos are bringing in Jason Wilcox and Omar Brada and trying to sort out the footballing things, and it's all well and good. But we know that there's still something dragging us down. There's still something hanging off us that's not really letting us free and becoming the club that we need to be. And that is the Glazers and the flipping debt that they've put on the club. Over £1 billion of debt is currently sat there. And anybody who's looking to buy United, that's the biggest problem. It's like someone going and buying a house or something, and someone says, this is the price of the house. And it's, whatever it is. And then, but before you do that, you've also got to spend another, hundreds of thousands of pounds to fix a problem within the house. You're gonna think twice about buying the house, aren't you? You're gonna think, wait, why would I buy a house that then requires me to spend more money on it to fix it up and clear the debt or something? You're not going to do that. You're never going to buy something, or you're going to be very unlikely to buy something with that amount of debt on it. Rick says the Glazers are flying home and ask, how can we make United better? There are players suggested. Then someone from the back suggests they try skydiving without. Oh, Rick, man, you make me laugh, man. Skydiving without parachutes. Yeah. I mean, look, I've thought so many times about how to get rid of the Glazers. How can we push them out? How can we say, look, enough's enough. Enough is enough. You've done enough damage to our club. You've not done anything positive. And look, let's call it a day. Just go out there, put it up for sale, look for the highest bidder, and just sell the club. That's all we want. We don't care what you've done. We'll let bygones be bygones. Whatever you've done to our club, the torture that you've put us through, the mental torture that you've put us through, the psychological damage you've done to us, we'll forget all of that as long as you sell the club. As long as you turn around and say, that's it, we're happy to sell. But anyway, guys, reaching an hour point on this stream, so I'm gonna call it a day. I just thought I'll give you this breaking news. I thought I'll do a video, then I thought, no, I'll do a live show, bring it out to all you fans out there. Guys, everyone who's currently watching, all you need to do is move your cursor to the like button and click it. It doesn't cost you anything. And of course, subscribe, because that doesn't cost you anything either. It's free. So subscribe to the channel and you can keep up to date with all the latest news. I bring you daily news on Man United. If and when anything breaks, of course, I will then do a live show like I've just done. I got this news. I was waiting for a few hours, waiting to see whether anyone else confirmed something. I was hoping that we might get someone else, maybe a bigger name, a bigger journalist, or we have had newspapers confirm. A few newspapers have confirmed that there is something taking place. Something is happening, and I'm hoping that it transpires that there is genuine talk and there is something going on between United and a possible investor, and I'm hoping that it's all plain sailing. It's not going to be like, oh, tomorrow, sales taking place and it's done and dusted. It's not like, buying a small company. This is Man United. There's going to be lots of paperwork, lots of things to look at, lots of things to tick off before a sale is actually agreed and got over the line. But mini steps. It's mini steps. One step at a time. We're there. We're getting there. As long as we hear the news that the Glazers are looking to sell, I don't care about anything else after that. All I want is for them to say, yes, we're off. We're off into the sunset and we're leaving you guys to do whatever you need to do. That is it. That is celebration moment for me. I don't care who comes in after that, because whoever comes in will surely be better than the Glazers. That's what I'm thinking. I want to thank you everyone. Till all are one. Thank you very much for your comments. Rick, you've been a legend, mate. Sanusi, thank you very much for your comments as well. What was it? Red Devil United, once again, legend. Thank you for taking the time out to tune in to this show. I know you're busy doing your own stuff as well. And Sanusi, isn't it? Sanusi, yes, it is the best channel. I've always listened to. Keep up the good. Oh, thank you very much, man. It means appreciate that. Everybody else, again, there's 23 of you, I think, online right now. So make sure you subscribe. Make sure you hit the like button on this video, guys. And we will be back with some more positive news, hopefully, about a sale going through. Let's just keep our fingers crossed. Goodbye, guys. Goodbye.